How's that? Oh, good.
rice tonight. You eat it inside your pocket. You just have your boiled rice and beef knuckles. Knuckle and rice tonight. You eat it inside your pocket. You just have your boiled rice and beef knuckles and rice tonight. One morning I woke up late and I turned knuckle I broke my feet. And the thing that made me so mad, the woman bring me the roller shredded meat. Knuckle and rice tonight. You eat it once and you want it twice. You just have to boil the rice and beef knuckle and rice. Got freckles on her butt. She is nice. And when she's in my arms, it's paradise. She's a girl from Hackensack. She made a fortune in her career. She's got freckles on her butt. She is nice. She's got freckles on her butt. She is nice. And when she's in my arms, it's paradise. All the sailors give her chase, cause they love her naval base. She's got freckles on her butt. She is nice. She's got freckles on her butt. She is nice. And when she's in my arms, it's paradise. She gets drunk and she gets blasted. She gets drunker than my uncle. She's got freckles on her butt. She is nice. Let's go back. Knuckle and rice tonight.
Bye guys. Alrighty guys, so welcome on board. My name is Nigel. I'm going to be your captain here today. Don't worry, I've only had a half bottle of rum today, so we're good to go. But also, guys, we all have a couple other people on board. Up in front of you right there, we have Mr. Andrew Holmes. He is going to be one of your Goslings representatives today. And we have Ambrose Gosling himself here right now. So we got a couple people on board. Now, the crew on board today, we also have Danielle. She's the girl that met you guys up at the ship. And we have the big man Denzel, who looks a bit like Indiana Jones tonight with this lovely hat of his. Now, guys, I want to run through a couple safety things before we properly get going here. Number one, if we start to lose altitude at any time, as in we start to sink, okay, we have 175 life jackets on the boat, so we're good. I plan on clipping all those life jackets together. We'll make a really big raft. We'll chuck the rum, the cooler, Andrew and Ambrose in the center of that, and we'll go for a drift with them. It'll be fun, alright? We also have first aid and oxygen located down by the steering wheel, and we have 2 marine heads, 2 toilets. Alright, now, if you want to use the toilet, guys, just come on down by the bar downstairs. Either side there's a small flight of stairs, and the way it works is once you've done your business, there's a button on the wall. Hold that button down for 10 seconds. All of your problems should disappear. Alright? Now, guys, just give us a few minutes here. We're going to get the boat settled, and Andrew will be on the mic in a few minutes. Thanks a lot, guys.
Move. We'll make it work. Alright, get out here, Denzel. Pour some drinks, please. Thank you, Denzel. We'll get Denzel a big hand. Thank you, Denzel. Alright, he's going to be serving you drinks, so if you smile and wink, he might give you an extra pour. Maybe. Alright, so just to introduce myself again, my name is Andrew Holmes. I'm the brand director for Gosling's Rum, and this is Ambrose Gosling, the 8th generation of the family. So what we're going to do today is we're going to give you guys a little rum experience. I call it Bermuda Rum 101. So you'll all be rum experts by the time we're done this. In Bermuda they call them experts. That's just how it works. So you'll be rum experts by the time you step off the boat. So does anyone not like rum? Alright, just going to say you're on the wrong boat if you don't like rum. So what we're going to do today is we're going to taste a product called Bermuda Gold. This is the first product we're going to taste today. And this is a product that we only sell in Bermuda. So it's unique. I like to share it with you guys that are visiting the island. And it's a liqueur, so it's not a rum. Something sweet to get your taste buds going before we get into the real stuff. And this Bermuda Gold is made from a fruit, and I have a picture of it here. And that's the actual size of it. Can anyone tell me what that fruit is and you win a prize? No, it's not a kumquat. A what? No, I've never even heard of that one. Oh, guava. Oh, no, it's actual size. Guava's bigger than that. Mango, no, mangoes are bigger. Alright, no prizes for you guys today, it turns out. This is a loquat. Anyone ever heard of that? Also known as the Chinese plum. So it's a member of the plum family, and it grows wild all over Bermuda. And we make this lovely booze from it, Bermuda Gold Liqueur. So the reason we only sell this here in Bermuda is because we don't make enough of it to actually export. It produces fruit in about February or March, and we send our trucks around and we scavenge as much of it as we can find, trying not to go on private property, but it happens. And so yeah, then we make this lovely liqueur from it, which we're going to share with you guys momentarily, because you got to have a drink in your hand if you're going to listen to me babble on a little bit. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pass you over to Ambrose. He's going to go over a little bit of the history of his family, so you guys get a good understanding of what Gosling's is all about. It is the oldest business in Bermuda, and it's still family owned and operated. You know how the saying goes, right? It takes one generation to make it, one to save it, and one to spend it. What you gonna do, buddy? He's gonna spend it, aren't you? Yeah. We're gonna taste 3 rums today. The first rum we're gonna taste is our Gosling's Black Seal rum. This is our flagship rum in Bermuda. It's the #1 selling spirit on the island, and the #1 export stuff. We drink a lot of it here. We have a population of 60,000 people, and we consume 20,000 9-liter cases a year of Black Seal here in Bermuda. Bermuda. That's a lot of rum. You factor out the miners and the people that don't drink rum, it's a lot. So we have a little saying, 60,000 alcoholics clinging to a rock. And I hope you guys are going to enjoy our little cruise today. Alright, so the second rum we're going to taste is our Gosling's Gold Bermuda rum. And this rum was developed by his uncle, Malcolm Gosling, who's the president of Gosling's Export. And this rum was launched in 2005, and it was our first new rum in 109 years. So obviously things don't happen too fast around here in Bermuda. And so this is a nice light and mellow rum compared to the Black Seal, which is very rich and full flavored, so you guys get an opportunity to taste the differences. And then we're going to finish off with tasting. I refer to this one as the Carter family secret. Selfish generations. So this is a sipping rum. We're sip it straight up. So we're going to finish off our tasting with that. But right now I'm going to pass you on to my man Ambrose, who's going to tell you a little bit about the history of his family.
Back then, 1806, that's pretty much a boatload of booze. So they chartered this boat, and he didn't actually go, being the brave person he was. He sent his son, James, instead. So, how old was he? 18? Yeah, about 18 years old, going out in the high seas back in 1806. It took them 91 days. They were heading towards the new colonies in America. 91 days, and they got just close to Bermuda. Their charter ran out, so they made it for the closest port. That's St. George's here, and they were unceremoniously dumped onto the docks. So Bermuda, like praising, hallelujah. No one. They set up shop about weeks later, right? Exactly. So sugarcane is a pretty labor-intensive crop, and it takes up a lot of space. So pretty sure people wouldn't be too happy if we started blowing their houses down to start planting sugarcane. So unfortunately, we don't grow it here on the island. We actually bring it up from the here. We bring up rum and distillate. It's the raw product of rum. So it's the very, very strong proof. Bring that up. We used to bring it up. We blend the rums here to obviously a secret family recipe that's been handed down. And we also to say that today. So yeah, we don't distill the rums ourselves. That all gets done down in the West Indies, and that will come up to Bermuda, and then we'll blend it here in our facility here. Everything on the island that gets consumed, we bottle that here. Everything that gets consumed abroad, we actually pump those back into the large containers, and we'll ship those over to Kentucky, where we have a bottling facility, and that takes care of all our exporting. So we export into the States, Canada, Europe, UK. We enter Chinese market, Australia, a couple of the that's the word. And yeah, so we're really pushing, getting out there. What else have I forgotten? Well, the Black Seal, it's blended. It's actually 3 distillants, so it's 3 different types of rums, and that gets blended here. So, does anyone know where the sugarcane actually came from originally? Jamaica, no.
Barbados?
Nope, not in the Caribbean. As a hint. Anybody? Papua New Guinea. You're close there. So pretty much grows anywhere in the tropics, and it was slowly brought through India, northern Africa, and Christopher Columbus actually found it in the Canaries, and he brought it over to Hispaniola, where it likes the Caribbean. It grows there quite a bit, and actually started distilling the rums down in Barbados. That was the first distilleries down there. They brought one of the old Scotch pot stills down there and started distilling the sugar cane. Yeah. So thank you. So that'll get available in Bermuda. So it's a true Bermuda treasure. This one. Enjoyable right on the rocks. Locals also put in their coffee. They'll drizzle it over vanilla ice cream, fruit salads. Put in your orange juice for a nice hangover cure. Yeah, cornflakes. Nice on cornflakes.
What's the alcohol content?
It's about 28%, I think. So it's 56 proof. Yep. So yeah, it's not quite as serious as the rums that we're going to be trying momentarily. But yeah, so only available in Bermuda. We don't have quite the sources of loquats to be able to export it. So if you're trying to bring back something special, this might be worthy.
You get molasses. Oil sugar cane juice. Alright, so what they do is they take the sugar cane, they press the cane to extract the juice from the cane. They then boil that sugar cane down to separate the sugar crystals from molasses. So the crystals is what they wanted. It's known as white gold. You know, that's what they wanted to make the refined sugar and to supply the sweet tooth in Europe. So they began making this boiled sugar. They thought it was a smart idea to actually drink this liquid. And they nicknamed it Kill Devil because it said to keep away bad spirits and have medicinal properties. We all know what it did to it, right? So that was kind of the origin of rum. There was no one individual that discovered it, which is God's gift to man. We are very, very, very thankful of it. So what we do nowadays is to make refined rum. As Ambrose mentioned earlier, Barbados was the first island to begin distilling the rum. So now we get molasses, so we add water and yeast. Yeast reacts with the sugar and the molasses, and that's a process called fermentation. So that's what creates the alcohol. The next step is to then distill it. You guys remember what distillation is? Think back to high school chemistry. It's boiling a liquid to extract the vapor, then cooling and condensing that vapor down into another liquid. During that process, you're removing a lot of impurities, and you're concentrating the alcohol. So you take that fermented molasses, you boil it, heat it up, and alcohol evaporates first, faster than water. So the alcohol begins to evaporate. We then collect that alcohol and into another vessel, and we call that liquid the eau de vie. Can anyone translate that? It's French. Water of life. Very good. Extra shot for you. All right. So it's known as the water of life because it looks just like water when it comes out of the still, but I can assure you it tastes nothing like water. Very, 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 very high in alcohol. Very. Yeah, like moonshine. You guys know what moonshine is, right? It's pretty much moonshine when it comes out of the still. So once it comes out of the still, we then put it into a barrel and age it. And we use bourbon barrels. Does anyone tell us why we might use old bourbon barrels? What's that?
Flavor?
Flavor? Yeah, flavor's an important part. The main reason is that they're cheap. So bourbon manufacturers, by law, right, they have to use new American white oak to age their whiskey. So in order to be considered bourbon whiskey, it's got to be aged in a new American white oak barrel. So that means great things for us, the rum industry. It means great things for the beer industry and the Scotch whiskey industry. So basically, we buy these old barrels. Tequila guys making añejo, representative tequilas, they buy the old barrels, as well as the Scotch guys. They buy these old barrels. They age all their products. So yes, there's a lot of flavor position. Use a barrel. Alright, so black still we're about to drink. most of this color actually comes from aging in a barrel. Now we take these once-used bourbon barrels and we actually burn them. Burn the inside of the barrel. What that does is that caramelizes all the sugar left from the bourbon and the natural sugars in the grain of the oak. So the rum soaks that in and it gives it a lot of flavor and a lot of complexity. Look at that time in Denzel. You guys better tip him well. He's doing good. Alright, so we age this again in a once-used bourbon barrel. The inside's burnt and that's what gives it most of its color. We do add some molasses as well, and that's what makes this a black rum. Amber rums like Gosling's Gold can age in a barrel for quite some time as well and actually get fairly dark, but it's never going to be considered a black rum unless it has the addition of molasses. So that's the main difference between these two. This rum ages in a natural oak barrel. It doesn't have the charring that we put into the Black Seal. So that's what gives it that nice light golden color. Now white rum is aged in a barrel and then it's filtered through charcoal. So when they age white rum barrel, they age for about 6 months, maybe 3 years maximum, depending on the producer, and then they filter it through charcoal where it removes all the color and all the flavor, and it leaves you with a very neutral white spirit, which is pretty much the same as vodka. Not much difference in between vodka and white rum, except it has been aged in a barrel for a while. Vodkas, they don't typically age them in anything, but you can make vodka from anything. You can make vodka from molasses, from potatoes, from corn, from rye, from barley, pretty much anything you want. So that's the difference there. Any questions on how rum is made?
How long do you age a dark?
That's a good question. To this Black Seal rum is we're going to add some ginger beer to make our national drink in Bermuda. What is our national drink? Can anyone tell me?
Dark and stormy.
Dark and stormy, yes. So ginger beer, you guys know about ginger beer? It's like ginger ale on steroids. Lots of ginger, lots of sugar, no alcohol. It's a soft drink. It's like root beer or spicy ginger ale, however you want to describe it. It was introduced to Bermuda by the British Navy, and they began producing it up in the West End at the Royal Naval Dockyard, and they began selling it to the locals, and the locals figured out really quickly what that ginger beer was missing. Thank you, Denzel. A little splash of the local rum. So Dark and Stormy was born. We have 2 kinds of ginger beer. We actually went ahead and made our own ginger beer. There's another ginger beer here in Bermuda called Barrett's Bermuda ginger beer, which is a great product, but it was very hard to get Barrett's overseas. And Gosling's now well distributed in all 50 states, but we didn't have any ginger beer. So we came up with our own Gosling Stormy ginger beer, and we make that right in Massachusetts. So we ship it out in all 50 states, so it's available all over the place. And we launched that in 2009 in May, and my boss, Malcolm, loves diet soda. So he decided to come up with Gosling's Diet Ginger Beer. So instead of Dark and Stormy, we refer to it as Dark and Skinny. So you're welcome to have each of them, regular or skinny, and Denzel and Ambrose is going to come around and add a splash in your Black Seal for you guys. But before you ruin your rum with ginger beer, how do you guys think of it on its own? Do you like it? It's pretty smooth, right? But very flavorful. You notice that about it. It's got a lot of flavor going on. It is strong. It's 80 proof. Do you guys know what proof means? Anyone ever heard that term? It's very British, proof. The term proof came from, they would actually take a spoon with gunpowder and they would add liquor to it, and if it lit the gunpowder on fire, then it was of proof. So that's where the term proof comes from. But if you take the proof and divide it in 2, that gives you alcohol by volume. So 80 proof is 40% alcohol. All right. 3 drinks. Selling to the locals. Locals figured out what it was missing. They began mixing the Black Seal rum with it. So where did it get the name Dark and Stormy? Any ideas? Weather. Well, the legend goes, there was a bartender at the Royal Bermuda Yacht Club, and he was making rum and ginger beer, which they were known as originally. People just referred to him as black rum and ginger beer. So he was making black rum and ginger beer for all these sailors that were hanging out at his bar because it was a dark and stormy day and they couldn't go sailing. So they're all sitting at his bar drinking. So he's hustling, trying to keep up with making all these dark and stormies for these people, rum and ginger beers for these people. And he poured in the ginger beer by accident and forgot the rum. He then poured the rum on top of the ginger beer and it floats right on top of the ginger beer. And it looks like a storm cloud. So he handed it to this drunken sailor who picks it up and says, "Nah, that looks like a storm cloud neither a fool or a dead man would sail under." So everyone starts laughing and one of them goes, yeah, barkeep, give me one of them dark and stormies. And the name stuck. So Gosling's was smart enough to trademark it, which means we actually own the rights to the name Dark and Stormy, which is kind of cool. boss, Malcolm Gosling, one day. He said, yo, what's this I hear you got a trademark on Dark and Stormy? He's like, how can you trademark a cocktail? That's impossible. Show me your proof. So anyway, him and Malcolm went back and forth shooting emails. He showed him the trademark and everything. This guy just thought it was unbelievable. So we got this big article in the Wall Street Journal a couple years ago about how Gosling owns the trademark to Dark and Stormy. Now, we're not saying there's not other rums that go well with ginger beer, because there probably are rums that taste good with ginger beer. They just got to come up with their own name. They can't call it the Dark and Stormy. Because you guys come here to Bermuda, you enjoy a Dark and Stormy, you go home. Where are you guys all from? Jersey? All of you?
New York.
Oh, not all of you. All right. Well, you go back to New Jersey and you have a Dark and Stormy. You want it to taste just like it did when you were here in Bermuda, right? So that's why it has to be made with Gosling's Black Seal and ginger beer. That's the law. Doesn't matter what ginger beer. We passed the trademark long before we started making our own. Then we probably said, you got to make it with Gosling ginger beer. But to be honest, ginger beer is a personal preference, but always made with a black rum. Now, there's another popular drink with ginger beer that was a classic cocktail. Can anyone recall that? A classic ginger beer cocktail? Pardon? Can you believe it? No, that's rum and coke. That's our friends Bacardi. All right, no, it's a Moscow Mule. Has anyone ever heard of a Moscow Mule? It's a classic cocktail. It's vodka and ginger beer, and that was actually the cocktail that made Smirnoff popular in America. Smirnoff was the first vodka to enter the American market, and that's when ginger beer was popular. So Smirnoff and ginger beer, and that was their cocktail that they used to promote it, the Moscow Mule. And ginger beer is a classic soda, right? I mean, what they used to use to make ginger beer was they would take sugar, ginger root, and water, and they would put it in these big ceramic jugs, and they would leave it, and it would actually naturally ferment and would carbonate the liquid. So it was the first naturally carbonated soft drink. And then they started making like Orange Crush and Sierra Mist and all these other garbage soft drinks, and ginger beer just kind of fell off the radar. But thanks to the Dark and Stormy, we're now ginger beer is back on the market. So our ginger beer is made by a family business in America called Polar Beverages. Anyone ever heard of Polar Beverages? Yep. Based in Worcester, Mass. Largest family-owned distiller in America, so they were a great partner for Gosling's because we're their family business as well. And I remember when I first met Ralph Crowley, we were talking to him about ginger beer, and he's like, no one gives a shit about ginger beer in America. Like, he was laughing at us. Like, 3 years later, we had him making ginger beer. That's how popular it became. So he's really happy with it, and they're really happy with the diet ginger beer as well. You guys like the diet, for those of you that had it? That Malcolm swears by it. That's all he ever drinks. I swear he's got like an IV plugged in his office. Dark and stormy, dark and skinny. All right. So, pardon? No alcohol whatsoever. Just like root beer.
Where? Show me.
You can't see them? Yeah. No matter how much of those you drink, you're not going to see any seals in Bermuda. So does anyone know where the name Black Seal came from? No? All right. Well, I'm going to explain to you. So when the Goslings first arrived here, as Ambrose said, they had a lot of booze from England. They had no rum. So they began to import rum from all over the West Indies, bring it here to Bermuda, where they used to blend it and create their own unique style of rum, which was sold on draft only. That means you had to take in your own bucket or bottle or whatever you could find to the liquor store, and they would actually fill it up out of the barrel that the rum was aging in using one of these. And yes, it was convenient to buy rum by the gallon. And it still is today. We actually still sell it by the gallon. So this is a gallon measurement. You could also get a quart, pint, or a half pint of rum. So they would use these to measure, and if you measure right to the lip, to the rim of that, that was exactly a gallon. This one's a little dented, so it doesn't measure a gallon anymore. But this was one of the original ones that the Goslings used to use to measure their rum. So that's how they sold it, on draft only. Now, the need to do something about bottling the rum, it was starting to become very popular. You had a lot of sailors visiting the island that wanted to take their rum away from them, so they wanted to do something about putting it in a bottle. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of manufacturing here in Bermuda, and there was no one making glass bottles, so there was a shortage of bottles on the island. So the Goslings were thinking for years, what are we going to do about getting some bottles? They didn't want to spend the money to import bottles all the way to Bermuda. They realized their best customer, who was the British Navy, was drinking a ton of champagne. They were really enjoying themselves here on the island. So they were drinking all this champagne, and the Goslings said, well, why don't we just go get these old champagne bottles from the British Navy? So they did. They began recycling the bottles. So you can honestly say we were one of the first companies in the world to begin recycling. So we took these old bottles, very similar to this one, and began to bottle our spirits in these bottles. Now the problem was they had no label. So they couldn't tell which was brandy, which was sherry, which was port, or which was rum once it was in the bottle. So what they decided to do was put a cork in the bottle and use different color wax to color code the bottle so they could tell which was which. Their most famous blend of rum, which was known as Old Rum, because it was aged in a barrel for a very long time and they really just didn't know what else to call it, so they just called it Old Rum. Old Rum was sealed with black wax. And locals became very accustomed to going to the liquor store and saying, "Give me the rum with the black seal." And it only took Gosling's about 75 years before they finally clued in and changed the name from Old Rum to Gosling's Black Seal Rum. So this was the rum they created in the early 1800s, and the recipe's been handed down over 7 generations. And if the 8th generation is lucky, we might share the recipe with him as well. Gotta behave yourself. Alright, so this is, like I said, it's the #1 selling spirit in Bermuda and #1 export on the island. Malcolm, who runs the export side of the business, wanted, well, he got a lot of pressure. Everyone's like, "Yo, man, you make one of the best black rums in the world. When are you going to come out with a gold rum?" And we made some other styles of rum here in Bermuda, but we didn't export them. Black Seal was the only rum we exported. So in 2005, he launched Gosling's Gold Bermuda Rum. Now, if you guys haven't had a sip already and realize it's got a little kick to it compared to the Black Seal, right? Not quite as smooth as the black, but you'll notice one other thing about it. Doesn't quite have as much flavor as the black either, right? It was developed to complement the Black Seal, so there really are 2 opposite styles of rum. So this rum is lighter in flavor, and it's got a little more kick to it. The reason it's got a little more kick to it is because we use it to mix. This is not a rum you typically drink on its own, but I wanted to give you guys a sample of it in its raw form. So it's just on the rocks here, Gosling's Gold. So we normally mix it. A whole bunch of cocktails. My personal favorite with this is just water and a squeeze of lemon. That's because I'm a professional drinker, and we drink our booze with water. So the other thing it's used for is for cocktails that are typically more suited towards a white rum. So cocktails like a mojito or a daiquiri or things like that. The gold rum adds a little more character and a little more flavor to that cocktail than a traditional white rum would add to that particular cocktail. So as I said before, it's aged in an oak barrel, and that's where it gets its nice golden color from. It soaks that up from just sitting in the oak barrel, and the youngest rum in the blend is 2 years, and the oldest rum in the blend is 5 years. So we're coming around with some rum swizzle soon, when Denzel gets back upstairs. And you guys ever had a swizzle before?
Yes.
Yeah? Did any of you go to the Swizzle Inn restaurant?
Years
You
ago.
did, years ago. Yeah? Do you remember it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you didn't have too good of a time then. Alright, well the Swizzle Inn is a restaurant named after the cocktail, the Swizzle. And their slogan is "Swizzle in and swagger out." And hopefully we'll all be swaggering off the boat this afternoon as well. So Denzel's going to top you up with some swizzle. Rum Swizzle is a blend of Black Seal rum, as well as Gosling's Gold Rum. And then we have a couple other secret ingredients, namely orange juice, pineapple juice, grenadine. You guys know what grenadine is? It's a red currant and pomegranate syrup. And we actually make our own here, and it's actually the best in the world. Just to let you guys know that. And then we also make falernum. And falernum goes into this brandy as well. Has anyone ever heard of falernum? It's an almond and lime spiced sugar syrup. Originated in Barbados, and it's a cocktail syrup. So we use it in all sorts of cocktails here on the island, and the rum swizzle is definitely one of them. So the swizzle's got lots of falernum, lots of grenadine, and then a little bit of Angostura bitters. You guys ever heard of Angostura bitters? Yeah, the little brown bottle with the label that's too big for it. They actually won an award for the worst packaging ever, and they've been kind of keeping it going. But Angostura is actually the 2nd largest distributed product in the world, next to Coca-Cola. So it's all over the place. So we put some Angostura bitters in the swizzle, and that helps to balance the cocktail out a little bit. Now the name swizzle comes from the swizzle stick. I'm sure you guys have all heard of a swizzle stick, right? Okay, the swizzle stick's what they use to stir up the cocktail and to get a little froth going on it. So the swizzle stick used to be made of a piece of the allspice tree, and they would break off that branch or a little twig, whatever. They would split it at the end, and they would use it to stir up and get the cocktail all frothed. So you could make a swizzle from anything. Brandy swizzle, gin swizzle, vodka swizzle, God forbid. But Bermuda became famous for its rum swizzle, and that was a blend of black rum and gold rum. So prior to us launching our gold rum in 2005, we used another style of rum called Gosling's Rum Deluxe, which is a Barbados rum that we just sell in Bermuda. So Swizzle is all about blending the black rum and the gold rum together, I'm sure those of you that have one will agree it's a pretty tasty cocktail, right? Can you taste the rum in it? You can? Oh, you can. Some people say Swizzle's a girly drink, but it's not. It's packed full of rum. And the idea of a good swizzle is that you're supposed to not be able to taste too much of the rum in it. But if you went to Swizzle, I'm sure you guys realize it's a pretty strong swizzle there, right? They give you these little tiny glasses to drink it out of. So you have one little glass and then you decide whether you want to have 2 or 3 glasses. It's some pretty potent stuff. All right. So we use the 80 proof rum in making rum swizzle, but we also use our 151 proof rum. You guys seen that before? I didn't bring any of that to sample today, I'm sorry. We want you to enjoy your evening and not get all crazy. So 151 proof is, you divide that in 2 and that gives you alcohol by volume. So 151 proof is 75.5% alcohol, also known as rocket fuel. So if you ever run out of lighter fluid for your barbecue, or if you're running your moped and you run out of gas, you can always throw a little bit of the 151 in to get you going. Now, 151 is so strong that the FAA banned it from all the airlines coming into America. So if you guys are flying to American states, you cannot take 151 proof with you. So naturally, we were pretty upset because we used to sell a lot of 151 proof duty-free. Gosling's actually owns the duty-free stores at the airport, and we produce rum, we retail it, we wholesale it. It's a weird system here, but we do everything here on the island. Now, so duty and tax is all based on alcohol by volume. So when you got 151 proof rum, it's a good savings to buy it duty free. So we were mad, and we went back to the FAA and said, look, fellas, I know you don't want 151 proof on the planes, but would you accept 140 proof? And they got back to us in about a week. They're like, sure. Idiots. It's just as flammable as the 151. I think they're afraid you're going to make a Molotov cocktail, you know, take me back to Bermuda, or whatever. But, so that's the reason why it is not available. Yeah. I don't know, should I? Should I trust you? Yeah, Danny has a heavy hand here. Should I let her pour the old rum, guys? Yeah. I think you can hook them up. All right. So Danny's going to have a little sample of our old rum for you guys in a minute. But, okay, so I was saying, yeah, 140 proof, only 70% alcohol, and that actually is allowed on the plane. So if you notice, some of the cruise ships, they have overproof rum, but it's only 140 proof. So, not much of a difference. But besides lighting fires, overproof rum is used to make rum swizzle. So the idea is you add more rum and less juice. No, sorry, it's the other way around. Less rum and more juice, and it still has a nice kick to it, right? So swizzle is a great cocktail because anyone can make it, and you can do whatever you want with it. As long as you got lots of rum in there and juice, you can't go wrong. But you can add like apricot brandy, banana liqueur. Some people put that Bermuda Gold in their swizzle. Put all kinds of stuff in there. So it's a fun cocktail, and I got some recipe cards downstairs that'll show you how to make a rum swizzle and some other good cocktails with our Gosling's rum. So what's your favorite so far? Who likes the dark and stormy? Yeah. Who likes the swizzle? Yeah. Swizzle seems to be winning there, huh? Well, dark and stormy is our national drink. Some people say it's a swizzle, but the swizzle you can make any way. The dark and stormy, as you learned, you can only make it one way. You have a question? The Black Seal Bloody Mary, it's just a local twist on a classic cocktail. And again, the sweetness of the molasses and the flavor of the rum and the spiciness of the tomato is a nice contrast. It's a really good drink. And we were all a little hungover this morning, so at about 11:30 we started off our day with a Bloody Mary in this bar called The Beach. And we've been drinking ever since. Every one of those days. And if you see me at Snorkel Park later, we'll probably still be going too. All right, so we got some old rum coming around for you guys. Danny stole my bottle, though. Where's the rest of that bottle, Danny? She drank it all. Did you save me some? Denzel poured it, so I can blame Denzel for not saving me any. Oh, I'm just teasing. Okay, so this is a straight rum. No ice, no mixer, no nothing. This rum is something you enjoy strictly on its own. So this rum came about by accident, and it was would have been your great uncle, Teddy Gosling.
Good rum.
Teddy Gosling used to run the bottling plant, so he would blend the Gosling's Black Seal. Look at that, there's some left for me. Today's my day. There you go, Ambrose. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so he would blend the Black Seal, and I said before, it's made up of 3 distillates. They're all aged independently, so he would blend those together, and then he would, every time he bottled it, he would always save a little bit
to put into his barrel. So he had a little secret stash, a little barrel on the side. You need an extra one? All right. So he would always take this black seal once he finished bottling it, and he would always save a little bit and put it in his barrel on the side. So over the years, he would add more and more rum to this barrel, and every once in a while, he'd decanter a bottle off, and he would take it to a family gathering and share it with his cousins. So one day, one of his cousins, Malcolm Gosling, said, "Wow, Teddy, man, this rum's starting to taste like a real nice cognac." He's like, "I think we should start putting more black seal back into barrels." So they did. So in the early 70s, they began, instead of bottling all the black seal they made, putting some back into barrels. So the result was, in 2003, we launched the Family Reserve Old Rum. So this rum is a 16 to 20-year-old blend of rum, aged in the once-used bourbon barrel. So, not like a wine tasting. You know how wine tastings, you kind of swirl it around and dig your nose right in? Don't do that. It's 40% alcohol. You will burn your nostril hairs. Okay, so you just want to have a little smell of it. It's got a real nice aroma. You'll smell the oak, you'll smell the molasses, the sweet spices. And when you sip it, unless you've been drinking straight booze all day, you just want to have a little sip. And then a couple other little sips, and then your palate begins to adjust to drinking something 40% alcohol. So, oh, my mic's dying on me. All right, it's probably telling me it's time to shut up. All right, so you sip this old rum, and you just take a little sip, and you'll notice the finish on the palate. Hello? All right. You'll notice the finish on the palate? No.
Give it some rum.
What makes them feel. And he told me in French, and then he told me the English translation. And the English translation was so funny that the French went in one ear and went out the other. But the English translation goes like this: baby Jesus in velvet shorts. That's how it makes you feel when it's just kind of warms you up all the way down to your belly. You guys see what I mean? Good stuff, huh? All right. It does sound better in French. The English translation is pretty ridiculous, actually. But it's good stuff. So this rum here, we compare it to cognacs. It's not a spirit that we really compare it to other rums. It's something that we upsell after dinner. So you have this after dinner. Bermudians drink it on very special occasions, such as anniversaries, weddings, divorces, all that kind of stuff. You drink your old rum. I know some Bermudians that have bought old rum, they put it on their mantelpiece, and they're like, "Yeah, but I got that bottle sitting up there," and they haven't even touched it. Like, it's that prized of a possession. So we like to call it a rare Bermuda antique, because it's aged for a long time in Bermuda. There's really not a lot of it available at all. All right. So this rum is really good with dark chocolate. You guys like dark chocolate?
Yes.
So you get a little square of dark chocolate, and you heat it up in your hand a little bit. You take a little nibble of that, and then a little sip of the rum, and it's a really nice complement to each other, the rum and dark chocolate. Or if you're into smoking cigars, this rum and a big fat Cuban cigar. Although you guys aren't allowed Cubans yet, are you? You guys aren't allowed Cuban cigars in America yet, right?
As long as we don't bring them in.
Huh?
As long as you don't bring them in.
As long as you don't bring them in?
Yeah.
Well, I think they're trying to change that.
You can't smoke them.
That's kind of bad. All right, we got lots of Cuban cigars down here, so if you guys like that kind of thing. I smoke about 2 cigars a year, that's about it. Angel share? It's when the rum evaporates out of the barrel. The barrel is wooden, so it's porous, so the barrel breathes. So as the rum ages in the barrel for many, many years, it actually evaporates out of the barrel. And we call that the angel share. And rum is God's gift to us, so we have to give it back. Angels seem to really like our rum. They take a lot of it out of our barrels. It's about 4 to 6 liters a year that we lose in each barrel. And each barrel is about 190 liters in total. So it's not a lot of rum left at the end when you're aging something like the old rum, which is why the price tends to be a little more expensive. Oh, you guys on the Celebrity?
Yes.
Great ship, great ship. They have Black Seal on board
They sold
for
out.
$11.95 a bottle.
They sold out.
They sold out?
Sold out already. I'm not kidding.
Seriously?
Yeah, like days ago.
You must have had it.
Yeah.
You gonna put more in the ship?
Bunch of alcoholics.
Well, if I would have known.
We keep.
We got all day tomorrow.
Yeah, you gotta
You sail out tomorrow? Man, we gotta fix that, man.
I know we got
We gotta fix that. All right, we'll see how much we can get over to the boat. Ambrose? If it doesn't happen, it's Ambrose's fault, okay? All right. Well, anyway, they were selling it for $11.95, which is probably why it went out like hotcakes. But the other thing you can do is you go to our store in Hamilton and order it duty free, and they'll deliver it to your boat. So that's one thing to do, because they do not sell the Bermuda Gold on board, and they don't sell the Gosling Gold on board yet, or the old rums. Yeah, I don't know why. I've been working on them. So if you guys want those products, you can go to our stores in Hamilton and buy them. The Black Seal and the Gold are $13 a liter, and the Bermuda Gold is $18.50, and then the old rum is $53 for a bottle.
Are you running on a boat to sell?
Pardon?
You're running on a boat down
No, I was just wondering, like, the same date, same food, like, why not, maybe they're no reason to put in 6 days, but 7 days. Maybe they'll do it today or something.
It was a little